Baby, so go. Cada mis. Baby, so go. Cada mis. Baby, so go.
The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTRTV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast. High speeds, narrow confines, and a lot of drafting. The newly reconfigured Atlanta Motor Speedway is either a driver favorite or a driver hated, but either way, we cannot evade it on the schedule, and that's where tonight's race takes us. Welcome everyone to PTRTV for tonight's coverage of the Spartan SimRacing League with round number 14 of their 24 race season. Again, taking a pit stop here in Hampton, Georgia. Going to be a little bit different of an evening here today, at least in terms of the commentary calls, because it's just going to be a one-man show here today. Unusual here for SSRL, but due to real-life obligations, Andre not able to join me, so perhaps later in the event, some other drivers who have some issues may take the trip up to the booth and join me up here for the calls, but currently under a warm-up session. So these guys just having a chance of qualifying already done, drivers meeting already done, so now they have the opportunity to turn some last-minute laps here and try to get some final details to polish off the evening here at Atlanta. Of course, having a week off last week for the 4th of July holiday, we now head into tonight's race with a different set of kind of drivers. We do have a lot of new drivers here that are within the series, so we do have some, of course, point standing battles and a lot of good stuff coming on right here. Just have to quite fix something here, some audio not coming through. There it is. I think we finally should have the audio that we need there. But let's bring up our point standings just to get a little summary of what is going on, as Timothy Latham having some little endeavors there in the pits after Nashville. Latham picked up his second win of the season. And then we have Justin Levine dropping back, Ippolito, Snyder, and Jorgen. You can see the big differentials there within the point standings of those currently still running full time. Timothy Latham definitely turning up the wick, but you have Johan Seminario, who joined the season about halfway through, and I can tell you he's just off of the point standings graphic there. Currently in the 12th spot in the points, and with all of his wins and group win, he's definitely going to be one to watch as the rest of the season does come into effect there. We'll get off the screen there. Well, let's take a look here, pull up the ticker, and we'll just get a summary of what the lap times are at this juncture. Actually, I guess no, we won't, because they haven't populated up here in the warm-up, but I can tell you on the back end that about 30-second lap times here between a 29.9 and back down to the 30s, all dependent of the draft. Now you can see here on the screen that big battle. See that red and white line per the real life and kind of sporting code of sorts, out of bounds if anybody goes below that red and yellow line, red and white line rather. So definitely have to watch your moves here on a very, very tight and narrow Atlanta Motor Speedway. 2 wide, very doable. 3 wide is doable, just not in a very comforting manner here as this track. Same width as Charlotte, same width as Daytona, roughly 35 feet wide in the corners. It's mathematically wide enough for 3 wide. It's practically wide enough for 3 wide. But you just don't want to do it unless you really need to make the move here, just because of the risk that is involved in that move. But let's take a little gander here at the weather conditions here from Hampton, Georgia. 84 degree in the air with 115 track. That is a very slick track. And 4:15 here on the virtual standard clock there. Of course, don't have the lights here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. so we cannot run the night race that was akin to reality. So maybe in the patch, hashtag soon. We all know how that is. But we got about 20 some odd guys ready to turn laps here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So I do want to thank everyone for tuning in to PTRTV. If it's your first time, do not make it your last. Hit that like and subscribe button on our slow crawl up to 1,000 subscribers, and we're just about to hit the 900 subscriber mark probably by the end of Wednesday, as we do have a new league coming to the channel, at least for a one-off event. So the closer we get to 1,000, the better and happier we will all be here as a part of the channel. So we'll just take every last bit of help we can get in that move. But these guys now headed to the starting grid, so let's go ahead and give it to you. The PTRTV starting lineup here today from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. On tonight's poll with a lap time of 31.157, Chad Gunningsman, you may know him from the 100% Cup Series divisions, with Heath Snyder to the outside of the front row. Justin Levine, our two-time group winner on the season, and third out of New York. Devin Medeiros, fan favorite in our YouTube chat, rolling off in fourth. Fifth is Ed Shearer, also out of New York, and then Indianapolis's Timothy Latham in sixth. Philip Henry, a newcomer to the league, as well as another newcomer, Kevin Zosiak. Row 5 finds Ty Ippolito, and then Jordan Sailors had some good runs here in the Super Speedway S Racing. Scott Wise in 11th. Tanner Marty rolling off in 12th. 13th finds Corey Harville. Blair Holloman, a series veteran, in 16th spot. And then quickly rounding out our grid, 17th is Jake Hickson. Josh Campbell in 18th. Corey Saucier and Kendall Levron. And then that is our starting lineup here today from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. So we'll get one quick pace lap around this place. And we already went over our weather conditions. The stage, we do have one stage per race here. I'm not sure what's going on here with the starting lineup. We have someone dropping to the back there on the top of the racetrack. Not too sure. That's Heath Snyder, maybe getting an EOL. Not too sure about the ins and outs of that, but appears to be what is occurring there. Unfortunately, giving up his outside front row. But out for our stage, lap number 50. So that is what we got going on here today. And remember, we have our 50% fuel load, which we are estimating to have about 35 laps roughly of fuel and 3 sets of tires. And the pits tires will be important here, although not absolutely vital. Handling does come into play here on the long runs. But Chad Gunningsman, he is still going to be on the outside of the front row, with now Devin Medeiros taking that outside front row start. Barney has the flag in hand, has it ready to wave, entering the start zone. There we are. Let's go racing at Atlanta. Firing off into turn 1, that outside lane not formulated. Timothy Latham about a car length back from Devin Medeiros there. Justin Levine to the inside, giving the push to Gunningsman here, headed down the back straightaway for the first time on the evening. We expect some drafting in different lanes, different partners, different drafting strategies, all to come into play here over the course of the evening. So you will see some single file as guys do fizzle themselves in the line, as guys do learn each other. May have a little paint scheme flash here as the training paints just kind of a little bit delayed here on my back end. So just take note of that. If you see some flashes, the paint schemes will be updating in just a jiff here. But again, different drafting strategies that will commence here at Atlanta. You will see some bump drafting. You will see some patient drafting. You'll see some aggressive drafting. You'll see bump drafts go wrong. It's exactly what you see at a Daytona or a Talladega, just in a more narrow confines here, again, in the 35 feet radius here of this racetrack. See the bump draft there. That's our race leader that we're on board with right now. That's Chad Gunningsman. Getting the bump from Justin Levine, excuse me. But the outside lane looks like the Devil Medeiros is trying to situate it there. Remember, he's usually in a gold car, but tonight in a black and white number 20. 14 Ed Shearer in the old school Tony Stewart-esque car, Clint Boyer, whichever era you prefer, running there in the third spot. And you can see on the outside pushing Devil Medeiros is the 19 of Ty Ippolito, third in our overall driver points right now. I haven't really gone over the team points that much over the course of the season, but our team standings here after race 13, Flashpoint Racing up by about 80 points over Hyperforce. So they are definitely showing their stuff there, Hyperforce, but Hyperforce coming in tight with Johan Seminario and Ed Shearer. Of course, Johan not here, as you can see. I did see in the opening that he said he probably wasn't going to make the race due to not making it on time, driving home from somewhere. Oh, look who has appeared. A wild Andre has appeared. Potentially. I'll let him get his wires plugged in there.
I'm only 6 laps late.
See, Andre was, he's headed to Eldora this week, and I figured, well, I guess he must have left early, or he just lost track of time. But either way, glad to see it. You only missed a few laps. We are missing Johan Seminario, so we are missing a heavy hitter here. But as you know, Andre, at a pseudo plate track, the regulars don't necessarily mean anything because anybody can sneak this one out depending how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, you know, this being sort of a pseudo super speedway, it's really just about being in the right place at the right time. You know, not so much how good your setup is or, you know, where you typically run, just trying to keep the car clean. And if you get there to the end, then you're going to have a good chance at it. And, you know, looking at this running order, we do see some names up front that maybe you don't always see. Obviously, there's the heavy hitters, Gunningsman, Levine, Scherer. We expect those guys up there. But Henry, Zodiac, those guys inside the top 5 is pretty good. So it opens up a lot of possibilities when you go to a track like this.
Well, it looks like a little short attempt at a 3 wide there. That's Medeiros in the 20, and there's the Bass Pro Shops machine. That's Scott Wise. He is looking like he's peaking for a 3 wide, and that could be one of two things. It could be he actually is peaking for a 3 wide. He could be trying to get some clean air on the nose, or he could just be trying to get some visibility because it is hard to see here when you are in the middle of the pack. So pick which one of the 3 options you think it may be there as we go on board with Scott Wise.
The onboard is going to give us a good perspective of just what these guys are dealing with. You know, it's tough enough to see in traffic like this outside of the car, but with Atlanta being a little bit narrower than the other plate tracks, it just really crowds you in, and it can be pretty stressful for these guys as they come up on a lapped car not too far ahead. They're going to have to try to navigate around if they can.
Well, that's not a good graphic there. Kendall Leveron, that is. I'm not sure why the graphics do not like him, but I'm not sure. He may have had a penalty carryover from Nashville. And then Heath Snyder, he started on the outside pole, but for some reason immediately dropped to the back there on the opening pace lap. Not sure what happened to him, but he is now 2 laps down. So we have 20 guys on the lead lap of sorts right now. Lap 11, again, just to kind of, you know, fill in Andre, we are expecting fuel around lap 35 or so. And we have 3 sets of tires in the pit. So that is definitely a situation. 3 sets in the pits. You know they'll want to change tires, but there's going to be a pit stop. They have to take fuel only just because there's not going to be enough inventory for every required pit stop. At my very quick math, that is.
There's probably going to be 2 pit stops where they have to take fuel only, unless they just take 2 on one of those stops. So it's definitely going to be a game of probably trying to save the tires till the end. I don't think they're going to matter quite as much early on when we're still expecting a stage caution to bunch everybody up, especially. Even if you don't take tires, car's a little bit off pace, you know, you got that stage caution you can rely on. If I'm a driver, I'm trying to save those for a green-white checkered or something that might happen towards the end. But either way, luckily at a track like this, the tires shouldn't degrade too much. I mean, definitely the handling is going to be affected. The car is going to get a little bit tighter. but overall, lap time should stay competitive as long as you stay in the draft. So,
Oh,
Dave
that's huge.
into the outside wall a little bit there.
Yeah, I'm
But he's able to
resetting our
gather it.
graphics package, so that is why it has gone blank, but it will come back in just a second.
It's a good save by Dave, though. He almost came down onto the bumper of the car behind him there, but everybody was able to kind of respond accordingly and keep those cars going in the right direction. Not bad at all. We do kind of have two very distinct packs forming up. We got that lead pack, which is starting to drive away as they've just caught up to yet another lapped car. That is Heath Snyder. And then the larger pack being the second pack. Generally, you would say these guys are going to catch the lead pack, but if they can't get formed up, having the strength in numbers may not be that big of a help.
Yeah, not so much the case here. We do have apologies for that, but we do have our graphics package back. I wanted to make sure that Kendall, Leveron, and anybody who joined late into the session got their names shown on the overlays there. But we are, and also interestingly enough about Dave Fuge, it was funny because I did tell him, more so for fiscal reasons, that there may or may not be a second commentator here, and he said if he crashes out, he would come in the booth and kind of fill the air. So I don't know if he was trying to do that or not. I think he will be happy that he did not. He is a super speedway driver by nature, because again, this series as a sanction in general used to actually run a super speedway series, of which he was quite successful. So this is definitely a track that 4 car does circle as a track that he can get a good run at, but still chugging along here. But now we're back to one big pack, one big snake, and literally a snake, because all that double file has ceased.
So that second pack did catch him eventually, and I think Heath Snyder being at the lead of that train kind of helped them. It kind of checked everybody up just a little bit, and was able to allow that second pack to use the draft, get a little bit closer, slingshot up, and now it's just a game of, I think, patience. They know that they're coming up on a pit stop in probably, give it 15 laps or so, and we saw in 100% Cup Series on Saturday night, you do not want to be trapped on the high line, and you certainly don't want to have to cut across multiple lanes, because pit road played havoc here, not just in 100%, but in every race that I've seen at this race on this service so far this weekend. Pit road has played havoc, so I think the fact that these guys are single file, just kind of taking it easy, not much of a surprise, because they still want to be there when the checker drops.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if we do have, if you're watching this live, an upcoming iRacing patch on Thursday the 13th. Makes you wonder if they're going to implement some kind of a pit stop in the access road 3 and 4 apron type deal in real life. It took about 15 years to do it at Bristol, so I wonder if they'll do it here. I think they undid it at Miami, so it's not completely out of the ordinary to do. But the 33, Scott Wise, we were following him a few laps ago, and he is scraping the barrier here in 3 and 4 on top of a 3 wide, and very difficult here in the quad oval, being on top of a 3 wide. It's probably the scariest thing in racing, is to be on top of a quad oval 3 wide there. But he does manage to evade any serious harm and has to drop back to the 14 spot. And we're back to fighting for 2 lines. That's Kevin Zosiak on the 37, leading the inside charge with the push from the 25. That's Philip Henry. And they're trying to break up this snake at the front of the field.
Back to your point, it is always a scary situation being on the outside 3 wide in a quad oval at a track like Charlotte or Texas, but it's even worse here because this quad oval is so wide. I mean, you have so much space. You could fit 5, 6 wide, but as soon as you get to turn 1, it narrows down to a very much 2-lane track, and somebody's got to give. So it kind of funnels them all together. We saw issues with that in real life the very first year of the repave for NASCAR, and it happens on iRacing too, no doubt about it. So you don't want to be in the wrong place when that funnel does tighten up. You can see going into the corner just how much narrower it gets, but they were able to keep it clean, and that single file we were seeing starting to fade as the number 20 is trying to lead a charge on the outside. That is Devin Medeiros getting a good run with a healthy shove from the 19. You can see him getting a little bit sideways from the push, but gained some time nonetheless. That put him up into second momentarily, but that second place will be handed right back to the 14. They're going back and forth, trying to fight for the second step on the podium. Meanwhile, I think the leader is actually enjoying having a lapped car in front of him. It's helping him save fuel. and it's giving him somebody to draft with, so he can get a big lead and not worry about everybody behind him just drafting right back to his bumper because there's no parachute being deployed. He's got somebody to tandem with. That's not an advantage that the leader usually has at a track like this.
Yeah, I remember watching at least some of the Xfinity race. We were covering a live broadcast during it, but I had it on in bits and pieces in the background, and Justin Haley said he was quite detrimented in that race that ended kind of in a fuel situation because he was the leader. So, like, to your point, all right, well, I can run the same lap times and I can run at 75% throttle. And if this thing goes green, which we've seen these races go very green, Andre, you know, going an extra lap or two over the course of a whole race, it definitely can amount to something, depending how the strategy falls. But look at everybody coagulating back together, and the 20 still trying to get a push from the 19, but everybody seems to be rather racy here, and we're closing in within 10 laps of pit stops.
And the fuel is so much more important in this league simply because of the reduced fuel capacity. You're going to be pitting a lot more often. And when it comes down to green-white checkers, you know, if you got a full fuel capacity tank, generally, you know, the way that those green-white checkers fall compared to the last pit stop, you have plenty of fuel to get to the end. Here, if we get too many green-white checkers, fuel generally becomes a concern. So if you can save a little bit here and there, it's definitely going to help you out in the long haul. The 33 getting a little bit tight, nearly making contact with Ippolito, but they're able to avoid it. And then they're going to cycle right back down to where they were. And Heath Snyder still from a lap down trying to lead this pack with the help of Levine. I can never remember which one it actually is. I think it's Levine.
The Maroon 5 singer is Adam Levine. But I thought he said it was backwards. We'll flip a coin. Maybe we'll talk to him in post-race. But we are, I had a point and I lost it. So per the commentary's logic, when you lose your point, you find something else to talk about. David Duke there in the 78. Good run for him at least. I mean, very, very early in tonight's race, of course. But he's someone who needs a good run. He's run the majority of these races, and I can only think of really one or two where things did not go awry for him. So on pure commentary curse, he's probably going to have a problem here, but we'll hope not. Currently fourth in that number 78, trying to grab the toe. Oh, Seminario, where did he come from? I literally did not even know he was here this whole time, but wow.
Yeah, he said we were missing him, but there he is, the muscle man himself, all the way up to
I must
third.
have, like, when I was doing the grid, I must have, like, double-clicked or something and skipped his row, because I literally did not even know he was here, and I scrolled through the timing screen. Holy moly, this is what happens after I get back from a vacation.
yeah, that definitely happens. Of course, we thought somebody was there in our last broadcast that was not there. So, goes back and forth. But apparently, Johan started in 19th, and he's worked his way all the way up to third. So that's got to be in contention for the biggest mover. There's 22 cars in the field, so almost last to third. And David Duke, hold on to her on the outside. Here's that 3 wide we were talking about. Not a comfortable situation. They're going to shuffle it down to 2 wide, luckily. And Duke, unfortunately, is going to have no draft help. This is going to send him back a few positions. Oh, no! A desperate bid to get back to the bottom. He cuts off the driver behind, but they're able to keep it from wrecking. I don't know how they didn't wreck right there.
Yeah, that was, I believe it was Zodiac there. And commentator's curse. I was trying so hard not to do that. You can see the 20 and the 19. They're working together, but they're working together, like, terribly because they're... We've seen the outside work, but they're just not making any headway. Oh, I finally got my point back. Akin to what we were talking about with 100% and the D2 and all that fun stuff we saw, Andre, I feel like handling is going to be more important here because of the fact that we're going to be running this thing dry and we're starting it with a half load. I would expect these cars will be a lot tighter throughout the entire run just due to the fact that we are going to be running a lot lighter fuel loads than most anybody else has been running all week.
Yeah, definitely going to be affecting the handling. How exactly it's affecting it, we'll have to wait and see throughout the runs and kind of see how the racing shakes out. But definitely you're gonna notice that difference. Looks like David Duke gonna make a move down to the bottom on the 33. He is gonna get clear.
Is that Minnie Mouse on his hood?
Looks like it.
Minnie, you. Oh
no! A little bit loose.
That's what we get for staring at him there.
I think we got to get this guy off camera. We're just giving him the commentator's curse 24/7.
All right, so we'll go back to we'll go back to the lead here as we are still with closing in on the you know, 2/3 way in the stage. If we want to bring a sophisticated math into the mix here, but Levine is leading. Levine, whatever you want to call him, he is still leading. Heath Snyder is now 2 laps down. He is hanging on to that 2. He would be 3. Oh, here we come. Pit stops. Whoa, Johan blocking him up. That's Scherer.
Oh, the 14. I don't know if he got down to pit speed, but even if he did, he's currently stuck against the wall. Had to throw her in reverse. That's costing him a ton of time.
Let me see if he hit the wall there, because it was pretty close.
Yeah, I think he avoided it, but you'll see he's coming in right behind the number 1. So obviously this entire team having a scheduled stop and just locks it up a little bit too much and
missed it by a whisker.
Keeps it off the wall, so able to fortunately escape without damage, but definitely lost some time either way.
Let's get a scope here. He hit the pit speed because it was an only 8-second pit stop, and he still managed to leave. He's kind of coagulated there with Latham, but through all of that, it still ended up being essentially a normal pit stop. Wow.
Yeah, lost a position, but honestly could have been a lot worse. Not too bad at all. The fact that he got down to pit road speed is what surprises me. I'm also surprised that a lot of these guys are taking right side tires. We see the jack stands going up on the, actually for David Duke, it's going to be a 4-tire stop. Ooh. He's one of just a few to do that. I don't think we've seen really anybody else take 4.
Literally the entire field. We usually see maybe a 5-lap variance between the field. Nope, the entire 22-car field has came to pit road in the last 2 laps.
Yeah, I don't think they had much. Oh, that could be a penalty right there for Zosiak. He got the right rear up above that line before he got to the blue cone, so that may be an unsafe exit.
I know some tracks, like a Charlotte, is the most finicky with that pit cone. I know Daytona is as well. Some tracks give you a fair amount of leeway. I guess we'll find out in due course if Atlanta gives you any amount of leeway. But we are coagulating back together. Ty Ippolito, best pit sequence of anybody. Actually, I'll take that back. Chad Gunningsman had the fastest pit sequence that time, 31.8 as a full pit lane delta. But Ty Ippolito, the second best that I can see here on the back end. That got him the lead. And look at Zosiak going to the top of the racetrack with, I believe that's Levine. Yes, it is. Heath Snyder. Again, he came out right where he went in, leading the lead pack from the 2-lap down position. But Dave Fuge, well, we'll see if he wants to join us in the booth, because apparently he crashed out. I don't know exactly what happened, but he is in the pits 3 laps down with a lot of damage repair. Oh,
and I didn't. Ooh, a little bit of contact for Zosiak getting into the outside wall. That's actually going to nearly initiate a 3-wide situation. But the bigger story here, look at Johan Seminario going for the lead here. He pushed the 19 a little bit wide. It was almost like a bump and run, which you don't typically see at a plate track. But he bumped him out wide, and he got down to the bottom, and he's trying to take the lead. But that outside lane, with so much momentum, Ippolito can defend easily. And now they're actually going to...
Look at Snyder being so slow.
And it's going to be 3 wide. Levine all the way to the top.
Oh, my Lanta.
And he's going to do it again. He's not giving out. He's not letting off the throttle. He is staying in it. Nearly 4 wide. Oh, my goodness.
If the phrase, oh, my Lanta, could be used any more appropriately, it would be at Atlanta. So there's still 3 by 3 here. Ippolito block in the middle. The top has slightly fizzled. We'll go back to a more normal 2-wide situation, less 1 row of cars with Scott Wise in the middle. You can see Latham and Scherer there have lost the lead draft, but at this style of racing, they should get it back in no time.
Again.
Yep, on top
Shades
of Saucier.
Martin Truex Jr. He's just going to the wall trying to make up time.
Oh,
and it's going to work.
Low.
He gets to the bumper of the 19.
That's Medeiros in the fence, the black vehicle.
Through all that chaos, he picked up 2 positions. That puts him up to P2. Now only 1 more car. Seminario in the lead. Heath Snyder back to the front of this pack somehow or another, but we got 3 wide, a little bit further back in this pack. They're going to go into 3 and 4, nearly 4 wide. Can they manage it? Can they hold it? A little bit of contact at 33. They're going to stay clean so far. I don't know about this one. And they get it back double file. What a move.
On board with Tanner Marty, who lost a lap somewhere or another. So now it is Kendall Leveron being shown as our first car off of the lead lap. Let's see if his name, at least my restart worked. You got a graphics back for him in the 18th spot. But closing in now, so now it's 9 laps to go in the stage. Remember, stage caution at lap 50. Johan, from what I thought was not even present in the race, from a 19th or so spot up to second. And no, he's in the lead. That 50, that 29, I'm telling you. It's so hard to grasp that he is not the leader, but the 56 is now the leader. Levine in second, with Gunnigsman in third. Again, 29 is 2 laps down in 21st.
I'll tell you what, Heath Snyder's probably kicking himself for finding himself a lap down, because he's clearly got a car that can lead the pack. You know, in clean air, he's doing pretty good. So if that was for position, he'd be a little bit happier. But who knows? It's a long race. Could get a caution. Could get a lucky dog. I am surprised that through all the pit sequence and pit cycles, he did wind up in front of everybody once again. But it's probably good for the leader. Like I mentioned earlier, he's able to save fuel. He's able to kind of run faster lap times. There's really nothing about this that's a detriment to the leaders behind. And it's also good for him, because if a caution comes out, he's not technically a lap down. He's just... well, actually, no, he's 2 laps down. Okay, never mind. I was going to say he can just get around without a lucky dog, but timing and scoring says 2 laps.
Yeah, again, he started on the outside front row, and then on the pace lap, he pulled to the outside, super slow, let everybody go, and I didn't get to follow exactly what happened. I don't know if it was an EOL, some kind of equipment issue, penalty, don't quite know, but, you know, unfortunate that happened for him. Oh, God, Scott Wise. How many times has this happened with Scott Wise in the fence? That's Blair Holloman. May or may not have had a little bit of ease into that. David Duke, let's me just split the middle there and get around both of you.
Yeah, that 33 is struggling with the handling for sure. We're seeing him get a little bit squirrely through the corners, and I don't know if he's just got a bit of a looser setup on that thing or what's going on, but he's had a fair share of contact, and he's gotten loose a few times. So hopefully he can get that thing figured out. Maybe it's something as simple as a tire pressure adjustment or something like that.
Look at the difference there into the corner. Oh, Corey Saucier just about in the fence there through 3 and 4.
Yeah, Saucier giving him a huge push, and you're right, the difference in corner speed, I almost wonder if that thing's not damaged, because that to me seems like more than just not liking the handling. Is the 20 goes down the sucker hole. Devin Medeiros gonna have to shuffle to the high line behind David Duke. But that was near disaster, as we got another driver jumping out to the outside trying to form it up. That's the number 10 machine, the real number 10. Blair Holloman is going to try to get something going up there. We know how powerful.
Let's see if he's still 10 years old this week. Yep.
Yes, still 10 years old. The oldest looking 10-year-old we've ever seen. But, you know, we know how strong that outside can be.
Oh, geez. Someone's on the apron. That's Medeiros.
Oh, no. He's going around.
Is he?
How did he save that? How?
Hey.
Oh, no.
We're still green, by the way. And because he is... Because he is by... All right, this should do it, whoever this vehicle is right here.
No, he's off the racing. Okay, there we go.
The most delayed caution in the history of iRacing.
Well, that was the most delayed wreck in the history of iRacing, so it's fitting. I thought he saved it like 3 separate times. But we'll take a look at the PTRTV
black
replay
and white
here.
car on the bottom end of the screen there. Contact from the 92.
Big shot from the 92. And then the 33 also got into Tanner Marty. So both these guys were kind of weaving in their own right for different reasons, and then they just came together. Another shot from Tanner.
It was the same person. Tanner Marty was in the first half of it, and then he essentially finished it off. And then who was the... can't remember, couldn't see who that was, but that was the final trigger. And I don't want to condone things here, but as long as he just sat there, I almost kind of think he was waiting for that, to be honest.
Yeah, I had that thought. I was like, is he waiting for a caution? But then I thought, well, no, he might have knew that there was cars behind and didn't want to reverse in front of anybody, which would be a ridiculously unsafe re-entry. So honestly, I think he was probably just playing it smart, and I can't really blame him.
So this will encompass the stage here, because we will have caution under lap 50. So this will finish the stage. Johan will be our stage winner, and that you saw there, that was Kendall Leveron being the free pass recipient. Now the 17th car onto the lead lap. So that will leave Jordan Sailors 18th, one lap down. Then we have Snyder, Jorgensen, and Dave Fuge here. Now, I'm just going to go very quickly, as quickly as possible anyways, and see if I can find, if I can't get it in 30 seconds, then I just won't bother, what actually happened to Dave. Because it didn't come up on any of my graphics. No, yeah, it's too long gone. So.
Yeah, I'm a little bit baffled too because, I mean, from my perspective, I don't see any damage on the car. So,
oh, let's see. This could be it.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Maybe.
So this would have been during the very beginning of the pit sequence.
Yeah,
because you see those guys coming down pit road. Dave Fuge stays out.
Yeah, this is well, I don't know where it went. This is my overlay said on lap 33 he may have had a problem. Oh, is that must have been it. So he must have made some contact with someone on the pit entry. Jordan Sailors.
Ooh. Yeah, that was a solid hit to the left front, and
doesn't
I feel
look
like
bad, but clearly it was.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad, but something mechanical broke. You could see the way the car just kind of juked to the left after he got that hit. Something broke under the hood, and it's probably quite a lengthy repair, which is why he's still sitting on pit road.
And it looks as though we are having, I don't know if you have our YouTube chat pulled up, but it looks like we are having our standard we love Devin, I hate Johan fighting in chat as we do every week. I'll pull my card out of the ring and just call this in as subjective of a manner as possible, but you guys can continue on having your polite disputes there. But we are getting ready for the start of stage number 2, so that was going to Johan. There'll be 80 laps to go. We'll do the quick math on that. Should be 2 pit stops and 2 sets of tires. So actually it should be fine and dandy to finish this thing out with some fresh Goodyears, but we'll see what happens, Andre.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, kind of a toss-up in all the races that I've seen. The outside, the bottom, on the restarts at least, neither one seems to be particularly better than the other. It's just about minimizing the wheel spin and getting that jump. So pace car goes in. Seminario is going to be leading the way. And a pretty good jump by Levine. Some wheel spin from Ippolito behind him, but overall, nothing too crazy on that restart. Everybody gets formed up pretty quickly, and that's going to put the number 1 into P2 right behind Seminario. Now the leaders have lost their lap down car that was being the saving grace for their fuel mileage, so they'll have to deal with that completely clean air on their own. But 2 wide behind our leaders as they're going to battle it out for position. Ippolito has been really aggressive so far today. He's been making a lot of moves, has not quite got to the lead yet, and I'm sure he's looking forward as Levine all over the bumper of Seminario. That's going to get them both squirrely. That opens up a huge run from Gunningsman on the top. He's not quite able to get to him yet, but he is carrying a lot of speed through this corner with Ippolito. He may make this happen.
Oh, is Duke
Here comes
squeezing
David
the
Duke
gap
as well, 3 wide. He could have went with Ippolito. He said, no, sir, I'm going to go 3 wide, and he makes it work. What a move out of the 78.
Yeah, he knows that we were talking about him, and he said this is the best run he's had, and he's trying to put the icing on the cake, but the thing is you don't want to ruin the cake this early in the race. Well, I don't know what's going on, but caution, that's what's going on.
So yellow flag in the air. We'll have to try and decipher exactly what happened.
Nothing clearly obvious, but we will scour.
I do see the 16 off the track. I don't know if he was involved, but take a look at the PTRTV instant replay here.
May not be instant, but we'll just... Here's what we'll do. We'll just...
somewhat instant replay.
We'll watch the... Oh, there it is. 33-8. So that was Josh Campbell and Scott Wise. Yep, they just... I want to try to get a different perspective here. We'll do this shot. This shot may work out. So we have... Yeah, just look at that visual. They were like 5 wide. At least it looked it. But I don't know why, as some guys came from the apron and they merged back onto the track, I think it just kind of caused some spatial awareness issues for everybody, and it caused them to meet in the middle there.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Everybody was kind of jumbled up on that start, and here's the question. Does anybody I mean, I guess they're all going to come down to
just
it
top off for fuel, right?
Yeah, might as well. I doubt anybody's going to be taking tires, but definitely want to get topped off on fuel. Never know where the cautions are going to fall. And if everybody comes, then nobody's really losing anything. The 33 already in his pit stall, taking a lot of damage repair. I'm sure he's just been having a really rough night. He got the worst end of that incident. See how fast the number 1 crew can get him out. See if he can maybe take the lead back over here. I think Gunningsman might have had the lead at the time of caution.
Yeah, I believe so. And I'll exit the pits here.
But it doesn't matter because Seminario is going to get out ahead of...
Now, Levine only had a 7-second pit stop, and everybody else basically took 4 tires, so interesting there. But one driver, probably the first time all season we've talked to him. But let's go ahead and talk to the guy who's been very, very crazy with the moves here and ready and raring, David Duke. David, Corey, and Andre in the booth. You got us, bud?
Hey, what's happening, Corey?
So, I mean, not very many times this season we've had a chance to talk to you, but you've been making some moves. You've been fighting in the top 5, not afraid to put that car in gaps, man. It's been working out. Talk about how that 78's driving tonight and what your chances are.
Well, I feel like I got a blindfold on most of the time. It's been tight. Some of these areas that this car has found itself has been really tight, but it's got plenty of grip, and it seems to go wherever the heck I put it. So we're going to keep winding it up and send it where she goes.
We've been seeing some guys really appear to have some handling issues, really tight. We've seen gaps form when guys separate in the corners. You said that your car has been handling good, but how's it been with, reading checkups and kind of managing the runs and stuff like that?
The first part of the race was a little bit kind of like a yo-yo. It seems like I would go and then stall out until I kind of figured out how to read everybody, and it's not been too bad. You got a pretty good anticipation on how the runs work if you've been paying attention. It's not so bad. Fortunately, I've been up here close to the front where I can kind of see when they stall, whereas in the middle of the pack, it's kind of harder to judge that. So I've been fortunate in that aspect, so hopefully we keep that up.
All right, man, let's get back at it, see if you can get Minnie in victory lane for us.
Right on, thanks.
David Duke, 78. Again, as he said, he is, if we always say the old motto, if gap car, well, I think he is setting the definition for that with that interview.
Absolutely. And like I said, that 3-wide move, it was impressive. He could have walked bumpers with the 19 and just followed him on the high side, and he probably wouldn't have gained a whole lot. But instead, he risked it. He went 3 wide, got enough momentum to cut down in front of the bottom lane, picked up a couple positions doing it. So you know that he's willing to make the moves, and I think everybody else in the field is watching him, and they know that, hey, look, if I want to try to get a run, if I need somebody to push me, maybe that's the guy to look for. But the pace car is in, and it is going to be Levine leading us to the start-finish line with a good jump, and fortunately for him, not too good of a jump, because that is something you got to watch at these tracks. If you get too far out in the starts, well, then everybody behind you is just going to draft right on up. And I can't believe these two cars, speaking of a good jump, the 2 leaders, Levine and Seminario, 0.4 of a second before they got out of turn 2. Everybody behind him scrambling for position still, slowly closing in thanks to the draft. Gunningsman gains a 10th down the back straightaway. He's going to get another 10th here in the corner and bring them all back together, just like we've seen all night long. The question is, when he gets there, does he try to take that run to the high side? Does he try to stick the car down low, or does he just fall in line? Well, it looks like he's fallen in line for the time being.
Well, there must be someone on his outside with how that gap is changing. Yep, there it is. It's David Duke.
Yeah, Duke made a move. He jumped in front of the 19, and now they are taking that train straight to the front. Great momentum up top. And like I was saying earlier when the caution came out, we've seen numerous races here on iRacing this week. The high line seems to be preferred as long as you can get it formed up, especially early on in the race before there's a lot of rubber down low. So if these guys can use this run, I don't think they're going to have any trouble getting to the lead, and they won't. 78, new leader.
Yeah. David
Duke to the point. The 19, though, on his bumper, getting sideways.
Yeah, look at the... you don't push the pusher. Well, there he goes to the inside. He said, I ain't being the meat in the sandwich. I want to be some bread. So he's going to go to the bottom. He's going to get a push from the 1. Now, 14, he's going to dive to the bottom. So now Duke he's all by his lonesome.
You can see he's desperately trying to side draft the cars on the bottom lane, minimize the damage, but unless somebody jumps out with him, he's going to keep going to the back. There's nobody with him right now, no draft help, and that is how you're going to go from first all the way back to fourth, now looking at fifth, as Gunningsman's going to pass him. Here comes the 28 machine of Levron, also looking to make the move. There is nowhere for him to slot in. This is absolutely disastrous. Ippolito coming out the big winner on that move. He's got the one pushing the daylights out of him, but he's keeping it straight. The 19 has been really good at handling pushes and doing the pushing tonight. You've not seen that car get unsettled no matter how hard he gets hit. And that's the kind of driving you need to be able to pull off here.
Yeah, Ty Ippolito up front right now. Levine has been very good at pushing. I mean, he's been pushing a lot this race, and those are the pushes that scare you when they start to go slightly offline, especially when it is a Chevy, because the Chevy does have that more rounded nose. But the forward back bumper a little bit more square, so it is a little bit, I guess, evening out of sorts. But when you do it through the quad oval, you're really just testing the waters. Doesn't matter what manufacturer you are, but again, that's where these guys have that experience. The one has a lot of super speedway experience with a lot of leagues here on the service over the years. I've covered him in series all the way back dating to 2018, so I know he can definitely plate race with the best of them and doing that just now. But and he looked at the long shot here. We'll do the kind of the static cam here. Everybody single file. Typically, I always say at every plate race is at one point in the race, everyone's just going to buy time. Well, I guess that time is now, it appears.
Yeah, you know, they just got fuel. A lot of these guys took tires, so there's really no need to be aggressive. We can just ride around for a little while, try to click off some laps. We are approaching the halfway point, so you know, winding down, but still quite a few miles ahead of us that we got to really see through. The 33 back out on track, although looking like a crumpled up tin can on the right-hand side. Not looking too good.
Yeah, only one lap down. I think that may be him who will be right in front of the leaders. Wouldn't be that difficult to evade here now that we are down to single file formation. But remember, we did have our pit stops, so roughly lap 55, most guys are back in, so that would put us right around lap 90, if my math is right, which it seldom is, but I believe it will be. That would probably be our next pit stop, which, if lap 90 is our next pit stop, Andre, that's 40 to go, so that would leave a very precarious 3-4 lap window of needing fuel to finish this thing out if it goes green. So we put ourselves as commentators in the box of, do we want another fuel mileage race? Because I'm pretty sure we had one. I don't know if it was in this series or if it was a couple weeks ago, but I know I covered a fuel mileage race a few weeks ago. Oh, it was 100% at Nashville. That's what it was, because Adam Benefield was absolutely rip after the race. But fuel races are fun to watch, but I know they're not fun to drive.
Yeah, they're definitely frustrating. And with a plate track like this, there's really not much you can do. You can draft and you can try to just let off the pedal as much as you can without falling back. And really, that's it. You just have to hope that you're saving enough, try to draft as much as possible. But there's no off throttle time. So you're not going to be letting off in the corners, clutching. You really feel kind of helpless. And if somebody wants you to be the leader, like right now, Ippolito, he's burning more fuel than anybody else. And it's really, in all honesty, in Levine's best interest to make sure that Ippolito keeps leading the race. If this comes down to be a fuel mileage race, you want Ippolito to be, you want the competition to be in an unstable position. And so, yeah, let him be out there, let him burn up fuel, stay in second place, don't bother making the pass. We've seen that in real life, we've seen it in leagues, and if you don't have a lap car like you had earlier with Keith Snyder to help you save fuel, you're just kind of at the mercy of the wind.
Now, I want to take note here of the RPM. So we were just on board with Seminario, and he was averaging about 8,300 the whole time. But Ippolito is averaging about 8,100. So now let's go back to Seminario here. He's 8,500. So is this draft? Is this gear choice? Is the 19 trying to save? Because the 19 is the lowest RPMs of the field, which would imply he may be trying to slow the pace down.
I think he is. When you look at the speedometer for Ippolito, he's really only getting up to about 181, and we know these cars are capable of a lot more than that. And you can see coming out of the corner, just barely creeping up on the speedometer, 181, 182 into the corner. Realistically, on your own, you could be going 186. So he may have a different gear ratio than the drivers behind,
Yeah, even
But
look at
either
Levine
way-
here, pushing that 8,500. So
Yeah, I have no doubt in my mind he is still, like, he's trying to save a little bit of fuel. He's just trying to set the paces a little bit slower.
and that carries down the entire field, because if the leader is trying to slow the pace down, then everybody else has two choices. They can just drive on by him, or they can collectively slow the entire pace of the field down. I remember I ran in a Daytona dual race, 40 laps for a league a few years ago, and it just so worked out that the exact fuel range was 40 laps. So what did we do? The entire time, nobody passed each other, and we all ran 75% throttle to try to finish the race. The league owners were rather upset, but, you know, if that's the box you're in, you got to do what the math says, and if the math says you got to save fuel and slow the pace down, then, you know, the whole field is going to back down and slow the pace down.
And that's a double-edged sword. You know, you can push a guy like Ippolito out to the lead and make him burn up his fuel and say, hey, you're going to be the leader now. But if that driver wants to back off the pace and slow down the whole field, then all you can do is either ride behind him or pass him and then become the leader yourself and burn that fuel up. So really, it's kind of a lose-lose, and you're just kind of playing chicken, trying to see who gives and who's able to conserve the most. But a lot of single file all throughout the field. Devin Medeiros, after his incident, fell back to 11th. Timothy Latham, we've not talked about Latham at all so far today. He's just inside the top 10 in that number 5. And, you know, the nice thing about a plate track is I'm sure a lot of drivers are getting a good look at the Temptation promo code on the back. So, you know, right up on the bumper. But he hasn't really been up front that much today, which is kind of surprising, because usually we look at Latham as a front runner. And there's Devin Medeiros getting an eyeful of the promo code for Raise Energy.
Oh, whoa. Something of note there. I don't know how much your audio is on, Andre, but let's pull up the onboard statistics for Devin. Look how low those RPMs are, and watch this, or listen. All right, he won't do it, but he turned the engine off into turn 3 last time by.
So he's trying to save, evidently. I don't know how you can really clutch through these corners and not fall out of the draft. If he's able to do that, that is impressive.
Because you have to remember, in this league, everybody has to be on their game with strategy. And, you know, a lot of drivers do have the broadcast up, so when we are spewing actual facts rather than banter, sometimes we can actually let people know things that they didn't know themselves. So if this thing goes green, and my very loose math is accurate, they're 4 laps short. So if you can stretch 2 laps this run and 2 laps next run, you could still technically do it on 1 stop. So what is everyone most likely trying to do? Trying to slow down the pace and save 2 laps. So whether it's possible, we'll find out here. But Heath Snyder is now in front and separating the pack, but he is in his 3-lap down position. I think he was just 4, now he's 3. Ippolito now stuck to the outside by himself, which may be a blessing for him, although he's going to have to go probably pretty far back in this conga lane here, but it will give the lead back to the one of Justin Levine.
Yeah, he's suffering the same fate as David Duke, just slipping down the running order. The only issue for him is he may go further back than David Duke. David's running about 8th right now, and there's really not an opening until you get back to 12th or 13th, so Ippolito may be looking at a bad time if nobody jumps out. But speaking of jumping out, that 78 did peek the nose up there. Maybe he was thinking about it. We know that he wants to get up front. He knows he's capable of leading some laps, so right there you see him.
He's thinking.
Yeah, he just doesn't commit, but he's definitely considering it. I think he could make up some good time if he does.
He's a Stewie with the glass in his head. Do I stay down or do I go up? Do I stay down or do I go up?
Ooh, a little bit of a side draft there. He's trying so hard. Ippolito fighting for his life on the outside, just saying, please, somebody go with me, and nobody's going yet. 78 giving those glimmers of false hope there, saying, yeah, maybe I'll go with you. No, never mind, gonna duck back down low. But with that lap car being out front, that's probably something that a lot of these leaders wanted to see. Levine, Seminario, now they don't have to worry about who's leading the race because everybody's saving fuel at the hands of Snyder. So go on board with the Patrick cone. I like it.
But look at his RPMs. Even though he's following, he's still running in that upper band of RPMs. We saw Levine in the 7,000s. Saw Ippolito right around 8,000, but he's pushing it about 8,700. So whether it's a gear, I mean, it has to be a gear thing, to be honest. I don't know how much, I mean, I'm not Mr. Setup guy, I'm a fixed setup guy, so I don't know how much gear changing ability they have. They must have a fair amount of it. But that one's definitely going to be burning the more petrol, just based off of that RPM band.
Yeah, lower RPMs obviously means you're going to be saving some fuel. So if our data is, if Alito, whatever he's got going on with that 19, he's not at the high revs. He's about 400, 500 revs less than everybody else, which is huge. I mean, in the corners, look at this, 7,800 in the corners. We didn't see Levine dip into the 7,000s at all, even in the corner. Now we get to the straightaway, he's maxing out at 84-ish, averaging, I would say, right around 83 throughout the whole lap. So, I mean, definitely saving. Definitely saving. I think it's harder for him to keep the low revs when he's in the pack and he's got that draft pulling him forward. But nonetheless, he's still letting off so much in the corners that I think he's still saving more than most of these guys. Still single file all the way through. Justin Levine last pitted 26 laps ago, so we're looking at about 9 more laps, well, 8 more laps now, before we get to another cycle of green flag stops. Now, what I found interesting, Corey, was, in that first green flag pit stop sequence, I said, yeah, they're being calm, they're being patient because they know how tricky this pit road entry is. They were calm until about 5 laps before the pit road sequence, and then they all got really racy for some reason. So, I don't know if they're going to do the same thing, but it seems like the worst time to start battling, and that's what they had done.
Yeah, it's almost better to be, I mean, it's some very weird way to say it's almost better to be racy right before pit stops, because you have 2 lanes, so if you can manage to be side by side and the pitters are on the inside and the non-pitters are on the outside, it kind of works out pretty well.
Oh no!
That is Devin Medeiros, and
it was the 9 car into the wall. That was going to be Jorgensen.
Yep, Jorgensen there. I don't know how you caught that from a distance there, but kudos to you on that. But we'll go cue up Le Replay, and this is tough because they were by themselves, a little mini pack.
Yeah, I think this may have just been a case of the 9 car clearing himself off the 20, trying to move up the track. Oh no, the 20 came down a little bit. But the 9.
Let's yeah.
Well, keep an eye on the dashed white lines. Those are going to tell the full story.
Or
here.
even the seam. Oh, yeah, that's.
Yeah, because the 20 was above the.
See, the 9 is hung. I don't have my whiteboard up right now, so I can't draw. But yeah, Devin, you done did it, bro. Sorry.
So didn't clear himself, but Devin sure did.
So I don't know how Brandon Bruce is going to react to that in chat, but going back to...
I guess.
Yeah, it wasn't his fault. No, it was Johan's fault. But that puts us in a spot where we'll pretty much throw that fuel saving out of the window there, because everyone will need to make another stop from here with probably 20 laps to go. So all the drama that was stewing, well, it'll now stew in a different manner.
Unless there's some absolute mad lad, because we're about 45 from the end. If somebody really does save 10 laps of fuel, I mean, I think that's physically impossible unless you were just running around and, 4,000 RPMs.
You can have a really awkward time caution, maybe around like lap 90. But do we want, as commentators, again, do we want a fuel run, or do we want these guys going full bore to try to get to the end? My fear of going full bore to the end is that they're probably just going to have a humongous wreck. But I don't know. But we'll see how it turns out. I'm sure it'll still be a good show. But we're going to take this opportunity to take a little bit of a break. Probably have about a lap and a half, 2 laps. So we're just going to take a little brief side-by-side here, and we'll be back with you for the restart. So stay with us.
Racing isn't easy.
And we're back here on PTRTV for round number 14 of the SSRL at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Just finishing, I believe, our second caution for cause here in the day, third overall. Pace car is in. The one of Justin Levine is the control vehicle with Seminario to his outside. Marnie has the flag in hand, waving it on, and we're back to racing.
Looks like the inside lane got a pretty good jump, but Seminario not slacking on the outside. He's able to duck right in behind the leader. He's got the 14 at pushing him now. These guys, they're trying to push the pusher, and I'm not sure how they're going to get out of that corner. They did. They were weaving all over the place. David Duke gained a couple positions on that restart as well. He was 8th up to 6th. Going on board with the 14. That's the scenes up front. Now, again, these guys may have been saving before, but now they know there's no reason. You don't need to save. We're at a point where you cannot make it on one more stop, so they're driving all out, and it's very evident. You see cars getting squirrely through the tri-oval. The number 5 of Timothy Latham got a little bit slideways there. David Duke trying to make something happen up top, but the next closest cars up there is Jorgensen, and he's way back there, so he doesn't quite have the draft help yet. See what Latham does. Looked like he was maybe contemplating moving to the high line. Didn't quite yet, but either way, I'm kind of impressed the 78 is holding his own up there. You'd think with the lack of draft help, he'd be going backwards.
And now I have to go back, Andre, to something that we were told in our Nashville post-race show. And I don't know how I remember this, but I now remember it. The 14 of Ed Shearer, kind of using a baseball terminology, calling your shot. You're at the home plate and you point to the sky and say, I'm going to hit it over the fence. He basically said he had 100% faith and confidence that they were going to win this race. So we have to remember that 14, if he called the shot, he has to win this race. And remember at Nashville, him and his teammate had the race wrapped up, made the faux pas with the pit strategy calculation, pitted with 2 to go, and then cost themselves the race. So they have a chip on their shoulder that they need redemption on. And you can see their second and third, they're trying to do just that.
Yeah, they've been really strong in this entire race so far, and I think he's got that confidence. He's got the a little bit of anger maybe from throwing away that Nashville race, and that's kind of motivating him. But the 14, he's smart. He's aggressive, he's fast, but in all the races that he's ran this season in this league since he joined, I've never really seen him do anything off the wall or anything crazy. So you know that he's fast, you know that he's smart. That's a dangerous combo. As he does get on the bumper of Seminario, he's able to lift just enough. We do have another pack a little bit further back. These drivers starting to get separated, and they are way out of the draft.
Yeah, 4 seconds back. Jake Hickson leading about a 5-car train. I think that is the damaged vehicle train that is back there. Just maybe needs another caution to repair a little bit more damage. But the top 3, you can see they're kind of running a little bit different line. Maybe trying to get that out. No, they're kind of running more of a Q line. Everybody else kind of running more of a, hold the bottom the whole time around type line, which you would do, more at a Talladega. But being at Atlanta, it is hard, Andre, to run a straight hold the bottom the whole time around. Even though it is, slower here, there's a lot of grip. Naturally, you have to put a little bit more wheel into it. So it is hard to kind of wrap that red line the whole way around this place.
Yeah, the car naturally wants to drift out towards the outside wall on corner exit too, so you're not really going to be holding the exact same lane all throughout the lap, which means if you're trying to follow somebody, if you're trying to maximize your drafting, you got to be very vigilant. You got to be very
maximizing
careful.
Drafting.
Yeah, Seminario pushing Levine into the corner, pushing him out to a bit of an advantage, which could help. If you can push the guy out ahead of you in the corner, and then get the run on the straightaway, take it somewhere. That's how you're going to make these passes. But, big incident out back.
92 Harville. I think that was Levron, Ippolito, Snyder.
Ippolito with some significant damage from that.
Yeah, well, I'll have to queue up the replay. I think it stemmed in the vicinity of Harville in the 92. I keep wanting to say Clayton Hoffman from the other series. But that is... Corey Harville there. So Levron is turned. He just hooked a right mid straightaway there, and poor Ippolito nowhere to go.
Yeah, I seen that front end damage on the 19. I wondered how that happened, and I guess Well, that tells the story. A hard hit, and that's never good. That's probably engine damage, more than likely radiator damage, and that's going to take a while to fix. You do not want to be down on revs at a track like this, which he was already down on revs. He was trying to save, but now he's going to be more down on revs than he would like. And second pack was far back enough that they had no issues avoiding any of that, but now the full field should be more or less good on fuel. It's just about 35 laps to the end.
Yeah, so you may see some guys top off, because remember, those first pit stops were right at 34 to 35. So you might have some guys top off here, because we will be right at that ball game here. Looks like everybody is doing just that, just 5-6 second stops on fuel, but I would not be surprised if on one to go we see some extra stops here. This will actually, we'll probably go green with 32. Do you want to have a little in the tank for a green-white checker, or would you... I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple come back in.
Yeah, I would definitely like to have a little bit extra in the tank for a green-white checker, but if nobody else comes down pit road, if nobody else makes that move, and you go to the back of the pack, that is going to be pretty difficult to overcome. I mean, it's, not many laps left. You don't want to have to pass a bunch of cars to get back up front, so it's going to be a tough call. They can definitely make it to the end. If it's just the scheduled distance, these pace laps are going to carry them through where they're not burning a lot of fuel right now. They'll be good, maybe even enough for one single green-white checkered, but 2 or 3. And
just to have a little driver interview, we got to bring up the guy who called his shot last week or 2 weeks ago at Nashville, said he was guaranteed to win. Ed, how's that looking here today at Atlanta?
It's looking pretty good right now. I mean, we've been missing most of the wrecks. I mean, we had that little incident on pit road, but other than that, car's pretty clean. I mean, feels good out front. I mean, we're working with the teammates as usual, and it's been a good race so far.
All right, well, I don't want to distract you from missing your pit box here, but I know you're probably topping off. It's going to be close to the end. I know you called the shot. You got to put it in victory circle. We'll see if you can do it.
I'll try my best, boys.
So a lot of those drivers are topping off and sacrificing a little bit of track position. Gunningsman, Latham, Sailors, Duke, Medeiros, these guys did not come down pit road, but Levine, Seminario, Saucier, Saucier did not come down pit road, but Levine, Seminario, Scherer, I don't know if Zodiac did, but those three for sure topping off. They got a little bit more fuel than these guys out front, so if it comes down to more than one green-white checkered, that could be make or break.
Yeah, and you can see here, look at the 300 RPMs. He is clutching it in, getting himself up to speed, coasting it down, trying to save every last drop of virtual Sunoco race fuel. There is Latham. And he probably wishes he was starting on the inside lane, because he'd probably run the flat there and try to save even a little bit more fuel, but doesn't have the opportunity to do just that. But I did cut that interview short with Scherer there just because I didn't realize he was coming to pit road, and I didn't want to interrupt him any more than we needed to there. But either way, let's try this again. If this goes to the end, we should ... be good on fuel, but could be a little bit close depending on how hard these guys have to push it. Gunning's been going to be the control car heading into the Geico restart zone, waiting for Barney to wave the flag. There it is. Let's get back on the throttle. Latham, first time he's been on the outside lane in second this race, and I'll tell you, nobody out to help him.
No, there was a big wheel spin out of the 78. He fell back multiple car lengths, actually went 3 wide for just a moment. Not a good start for David Duke, but he's going to recover with a good slingshot through the corner. Look at this, pulling up to the back bumper of Latham. I would not have expected that with how slow that start was for him. But here he is, third place as they run second in line on the outside.
Oh,
and Levine, he's going to slot down on the bottom in a last-second move. There was just enough space, and he used every inch of it.
Pretty sure I just combined Levine and Levine into the same word there to cover both ends of the spectrum there, yes. But yeah, he changed lanes there with a whisker to spare there. 78 of Duke bumping Latham through the turn 2 there. Now he thought he was going to go 3 wide, stayed back in line there, but aggressive bump drafting. Got to be careful with it. Still a fair amount left in this race to go.
David Duke doesn't care about being careful. He cares about getting to the lead. You got to be able to push somebody. And Latham, he's not really been up in the fray this race. He's been a little bit further back, and everybody back there has been kind of, let's say, lackadaisical with their racing style. Up front, it's been a different story. A lot of push and shove, and that 5 car Well, he's learning that. He's realizing how aggressive Levine and all these other drivers can really get with those bump drafts. And if that car is a little bit unstable, a little bit loose, then yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be up on the wheel and get ready for them pushes because they're coming. I mean, look at the 78 slotting down on the bottom just like Levine did, just barely enough room. And he is going to give him a huge shot through the quad oval, get him a little bit closer if he can. But Levine just stuck in traffic, and I'll tell you what, I think he's being more aggressive than David Duke is. He wants to get up through these cars, and he is just doing everything he can to make it happen. He's got Seminario behind as well. Would not be surprised to see those two jump out, try to make something happen on the top lane.
Yeah, it seems just that. You can see Scherer, he was up there with a couple guys. He's outside of his teammate now, Seminario there. You thought they'd maybe try to tag team up together, get that outside lane moving. Not doing just that is also, Levine also in that camp as well. And they're going to leave Scherer out to dry up top. So it's going to be the number 37, Kevin Zosiak. He's going to try to push that 14 to some form of glory there on the outside lane. But Gunningsman, again, leading the charge. Top two Sailors in second. So he's gotten up there. He's snuck up there. Haven't talked about him. Also in that camp of drivers who did not top off the fuel load. It's basically only 4 guys in that camp. Gunningsman, Sailors, Latham, and Duke. Who all did not top off, so they have that one less fuel of buffer, whether necessary or not.
The 14 passing a lot of cars already, and he's bringing that one in tow, but he's leading the outside lane, and he's made up a lot of ground. Let's see if he can take that run any further to the outside of Latham. It's a battle for third. Sailors in second. He has just been pretty content behind Gunningsman. As they run, the low line has been surprisingly good this race. Again, every race I've seen, the top has been the place to be, but tonight, here in the SSRL Cup Series, the low line is where you want to be, and that may be something to do with the track temp, a little bit lower than it has been in other races. Yeah, 100 degrees, whereas in 100% Cup Series, we saw it all the way up at 113, 114.
And this race itself started at 114, so we're actually down 14 degrees and only about an hour of on-track activity.
And of course, the more grip you have, the better the low line is going to be. So that kind of makes sense, but it's just interesting how much this track can change depending on the temperature, depending on where these guys put the rubber down. Very dynamic.
3 and 4, a little bit more in the sunshine, where the rest of the track a little bit shaded. That does make a modest difference. So you can see right there a lot more guys slipping and sliding in 3 and 4, which is more even akin to just the shape of the corner. It is harder to make that corner in 3 and 4. You'll see guys drift up, but the track in full sun definitely not helping causes. But that 14, with the help of Zosiak and now Saucier, who's got himself back into the mix, making that outside work. As much as we're talking about the bottom, there goes the outside going to take the lead. Will the 14 stay up there with Zosiak, who worked with him, or will he cut to the bottom? Looks like it's going to be the option 2, and Zosiak tried to clear himself, Mr. Backwards Roof number, but he couldn't get himself back down there.
I'll tell you what, if you're going to lead the race, then you better hope you have more fuel than everybody else. And, well, Scherer does, so he can lead this race. He can take control if he wants and not worry about burning more fuel because he'll still be on even footing compared to everybody else. But look at Zosiak. Great shot out of the corner. The 97 falling back on the low line. That's going to put these two single file for the first 2 positions. Saucier not far behind on that high line. Though he does blink just a little bit, maybe having some internet issues. Looking back, the time for patience is pretty much gone. These guys just pushing the heck out of each other and then taking the moves where they can get them. There goes David Duke again on the outside. He's trying to find something, if there's anything to find, but there wasn't, so he had to dip back down low, then back up high. He's just all over the place looking for some speed.
Do have Snyder still up there, that gold and black number 29. Remember, he is actually he's 2 laps down, so we got one of them back, but still has a ways of work ahead of him. And we're going back, Andre, to that single file snake, which means one of 2 things. It means patience or it means fuel saving, because it's not a matter of lack ability of a pass. There's so many runs to be had that I think these guys could definitely make runs if they want to, but I would have thought that 33 laps, maybe 34 would have been enough to fully be able to charge the whole time, but maybe that's not the case. But either way, definitely a big snake here, guys being patient, waiting for their final surge.
Well, even if it was enough to make it to the end, which I think it was, I think a lot of these guys are trying to squeeze that extra lap or two of fuel out of this run just because they know that a green-white checkered could happen. I mean, we still got a lot of cars on the lead lap, a lot of cars racing for position. We can't guarantee that this thing is going to go green to the end. I'm sure everybody would like it to, but we can't guarantee that. So if you can save a little bit of fuel,
running
ooh.
the 88, super high up there.
Yeah, David Duke on the door of Jordan Sailors. That is going to slow them down just enough where they can't quite take that momentum anywhere. But new leader, Zodiac, is going to take it for just a moment on the bottom. Let's see what the 14 can do on the high line to fight back.
Yeah, they are. There's only about 3 cars there to that outside lane versus the whole field there down to the bottom. But the difference being the outside is very well formulated with Sailors giving that really good bump. You can see the lines difference there as they kind of came separated mid-corner. That gives the bottom a little bit more of a chance here as they do close in. I believe, I'm going to make an assumption on Scott Wise. It may be somebody else off pace, but either way, closing in on a lapper, which when you are 2x2 will be a little bit precarious. Hopefully they do catch him on the straightaway, but they do. He will go right to the bottom of the track. That's Levron.
So Lebron made a good call there. I think had he stayed in the throttle, they probably would have caught him about the middle of the corner, but he let off so much that they caught him all the way back on the straightaway, which just made it a lot easier for everybody involved, himself included. So good awareness by Lebron there. Oh my goodness, it looks like
not
David
playing
Duke
around.
getting a huge run. He's got the 90 behind him, telling him, come on, buddy, let's go. And they do momentarily take the lead. A little bit squirrely. That scrubbing momentum gave it back to the high line.
And Zodiac not clear, still not clear. You're still
the furthest thing from clear. What is going on here, man?
below the apron there. I don't think he gained position. He's 3 wide on the bottom. Did he gain position below the red line? That is protestable and against potential rules. We know League does not mess around with that, but look at this 3 wide mess here as everybody got jumbled up. That's Zodiac stuck in the middle. How he didn't wreck, I don't know. Holloman took a shot.
Puts Holloman into the wall. And now, he's got the 98 having to check up for him. Good awareness by the 98 letting off, but it did cost him a ton of time.
Now, how that 37 did not wreck for an entire lap is beyond all levels of comprehension that I have.
I would like to know what his spotter's doing right now, because clearly he's not paying attention.
Or he was overruling his spotter and saying, he'll lift.
We'll make it work.
And again, the 78 of Duke did go below the illegal line there.
Oh!
Can't get a thought out here because
I don't know how the league would view it, but I would definitely say the 78 was forced down below the line. He had a car kind of shoving him down, but we'll see.
How many times in NASCAR history did they ever call it a forced besides the time that it was Dale Jr.?
Well, they pretty much gave Denny Hamlin a win after he cheated, so.
And took one away from Regan Smith, but
yeah, that too.
Still never goes. Oh, there we go.
Big wreck. That's it. Green.
So clearly,
We're
it's not
still
that
green?
big. It was Snyder there. I will get a replay of that.
David Duke in the lead. We got 2 cars
Snyder
smoking,
and
and 1
Holloman.
car. The right front on Snyder's car completely locked up. We'll take a look at a replay. I think this was more or less inevitable with the way we were racing. Just keep your eye on Heath Snyder. It's that black and gold car on the high lane.
Push from the 14 that got him, kind of shot him down the track. Get one more look at that.
Yeah, that was just a big bump at a bad place. Just a little bit misaligned. Caught the 8 car.
Yeah, from the lead. Gets taken back with some damage all the way to the back, so just poor luck there for Josh Campbell, who worked his way up to the front.
Yeah, Campbell got kind of glued to Snyder, and they both got shot up to the outside wall and sandwiched there. But nonetheless, iRacing did not deem that worthy of a caution, so we're still racing. David Duke
on the apron again.
And to maintain the lead, but he's going to get shot up high. The car got tight. New leader, Saucier in the 90 with Sailors behind. And now Duke's got to try to find a way to slot in if he can, but I don't see an opening anywhere to be seen, so this could be disaster.
Not clear.
Oh, he was clear all right. He made it work. I don't know how. He was right in front of Devin Medeiros. We'll take a look at the instant replay here.
Maybe. There we go.
Perhaps. So you're going to see just enough space for a car, and then here comes... Wow.
Yeah, and there was a lift there.
What a heads-up move by Medeiros to lift right there, to know that he was coming down there. I've been in that situation, and every time I think, he's not coming down. He's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. And then they do it. And I wish I would have lifted. So good on Medeiros for seeing that happening.
So I'm going to deem a new award, Andre. So I just have to think of what I want to call it. All right. There's no other way to call it besides this. This is not an insult.
Crazy man of the race.
In a good way. I can't fit in a good way because it's just too much text there, but he has been the most aggressive times 17 of anybody in this race. And he's in 6th. He ain't out. There's 10 laps to go. He ain't out of this by any stretch of the imagination. And also, Corey Saucier, another one who there's 14 races this season, probably 13 of them, he's had bad luck. Here he is leading this race, but again, Jordan Saylor's another one. He's had a couple good runs, marred with a lot of bad luck in second. Jake Hickson, he won Talladega last year in chaotic fashion. Kevin Zosiak, he's a relative newcomer to the league. And then you have Captain Caldshot there in 5th. He's going to have his work ahead of him. David Duke in 6th. Johan all the way back there in 11th, and these laps ticking away, so we may have a surprise winner unless something magical happens here. And I always like seeing the surprise winners here, but we'll see how this thing shakes out.
And we're getting to the point in the race where I'm not sure I want to be the leader. I don't know if I want to be Corey Saucier up there, because every lap that winds by, the field behind me is just getting hungrier and hungrier to get around me, and eventually they're going to get desperate. They're going to put the bumper to you, they're going to move you, they're going to bump you, and it's just not an advantageous place to be, because at a plate track, when you're out front, there's really just not much you can do to defend. You're kind of just at the whim of the rest of the field, feel kind of defenseless, and not a fun place to be. So we'll see how he's able to defend the lead, but if I'm in this field, I like where Medeiros and Duke and Gunningsman are. They're a little bit further back. They're far enough back that they can watch this lead pack. If something happens, they've got time to react and get out of the way. But at the same time, they're close enough that, hey, if they drop the hammer, they can be right up to the lead in a lap or two if they play their cards right. So they're just kind of right where they need to be to play it safe. Meanwhile, Saucier's got nothing in his deck. He's got to play defense.
Yeah, he does. And also worth noting, I don't remember who it was, to be honest, but this race last year did have the closest finish in league history of just a mere couple inches. Who won? I don't. My memory doesn't go back that far, but it at least remembers that it was a photo finish, and we may be in for another one of those treats here today. So you'll have to hang on here. 5 laps will go by in a jiff here. We do have 3 green-white checkers in the books here if they are needed, which, I mean, never rule those out with the way that 78 has been making some moves. Here goes Scherer to the outside, I think, with the push from the 78. 78, get yourself out of the wall. Don't go that high. But they're trying to make that outside lane work here. And Saucier having some connectivity issues here as the race leader.
Look at this. More heavy hitters joining that outside lane. You got Levine. You've got Seminario. For a moment, you had Devin Medeiros is still up there. So these guys forming up. And, Seminario into the wall. Gets sideways. Saves it.
Yeah, he tried to cut it up there, and it just did not cut just enough. But that 14, he's making some headway. He's alongside of 4th. He's going to be alongside of 3rd. I think it's the Saucier scaring everybody with those connectivity issues. Here comes Scherer with a head of steam. Does someone try to block it? You're going to have to. It's 3 to go.
Let's see if the 90 slides up a lane or two, because the number 20 is pushing that 14 with a head of steam. He does not slide up, so he's going to pull alongside. The 37 gets forced out of the track. Here comes the mad lad of the race, David Duke. And the lead is going to go to the 14 with just 3 to go.
Somehow the guy with the called shot finds himself in the lead. Devin Medeiros in 2nd. Our YouTube chat will absolutely explode if he finds a way to win this race. And Saucier still holding the bottom down.
He got big sideways there. I don't know how he held that thing straight. Jordan Saylor's
Look at Duke in the middle.
Contact. Saylor's getting loose. Can he save it?
4 wide for a brief moment. This is on the apron. It will not cause a caution. This is on the apron. We got to get to the white. If we get to the white, we'll race to the checkers. If we can make it to the start-finish line, Latham in the middle. I think we're going to get to the line at the very least. Oh, some contact there between the 20 and the 14 lap. 1 lap to go. We will finish this under green.
So it is the final lap. They've just got a back straightaway and one more set of corners. The 90 off track, David Duke ping-ponging between cars as the 97 of Gunningsman led a lot of laps. Now he's going to spin late into the race through the final set of corners. A move for the lead. Devin Medeiros to the bottom, but Levine goes to the high side. He's going to give him some help. It's a drag race to the line. Seminario, the 14 out front, and nobody can take it from him. He called his shot, and Scherer is going to win at Atlanta.
Levine gets the second. Seminario in third. Medeiros, he was going for the lead in turn 3 and 4. Has to settle with a fourth. Last week's winner, Latham, the fifth place effort is by the number 5 car here, but kind of almost akin in very loose terms to the old Dale Jr. Pepsi 400. You saw him back there in 6th and 7th. You didn't think he had a chance to get there with 3 or 4 laps to go, but he knew he had the pressure of his own words on his shoulders and pulls out the win. You can see those Hyperforce guys kind of doing the thing that they tried to do Saturday night, just without wrecking each other. And they'll have their little victory trio there on the front straightaway.
Yeah, Devin Medeiros made a valiant attempt at it, but ultimately, I mean, when the guy that you're racing has teammates around that can help him out at a plate track, and you don't have anybody on your ally list that's anywhere near you, you're going to find yourself without a draft partner, and ultimately it's not going to work out too well. So good attempt out of Medeiros, but great teamwork out of the Hyperforce boys. We do have the final running order. Ed Scherer is going to win the race. He called his shot. Maybe he needs to do that more often. Justin Levine, Johan Seminario, Devin Medeiros, Timothy Latham, David Duke finishes 6th, the mad lad of the race. Jake Hickson, P7 after getting into the wall. Chad Gunningsman spins to an 8th place finish. Kevin Zosiak is going to be P9, and Corey Saucier goes from 1st to 10th in just a few laps.
Josh Campbell, he was leading the race, or very close to it, had that incident, and drops back to 11th. Jordan Sailors, another one of the last couple lap issue, back to 12th. Dakota Jorgensen, 13th. Everybody from here on out had some damage or was multiple laps off the pace. Henry, 14th. Harville, 15th. Scott Wise, Kendall Levron, Blair Holloman, Tyre Polito, who had a really good run until a wreck took him out. Heath Snyder battled this whole race from behind in 20th. And the last page of results, we have Tanner Marty and league admin Dave Fuge Jr. shotgun on the field in the 22nd spot. Well, I kind of had a little abbreviated words with him earlier, Andre. I'll hand him off to you. Let's go straight down to Victory Circle, or Victory Straightaway, I guess, in this instance, at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and we'll talk to and see how he got to the front. Ed Scherer.
Ed Scherer, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, you said you were going to win, and well, you did. So maybe you need to call your shot more often. Congratulations on the win, bud.
Yeah, thanks. It's not really how I had it in mind. I kind of ran out of gas, so I couldn't really do a burnout, so I'm kind of disappointed in that. But yeah, the guys at Hyperforce Esports really gave us a great setup for this week, and we always really show up at these super speedway tracks. These are usually our bread and butter. Atlanta was a little bit more trickier because one of those shorter kind of speedways, but still worked out pretty well with the teammates and everything. Unfortunately, Heath had a rough night with the whole penalties and stuff, and then I gave him a bad shove going to the tri-oval, so I'm sorry to him for that. But overall, it was a great night for everyone at Hyperforce Esports, and hopefully we can take a little bit more of this momentum on the next coming weeks and see what we can do.
Now, you mentioned that you ran out of gas. You had just enough to get to the end. I find that interesting because you were one of only a few drivers that came back down pit road one lap later on that last caution to get just another splash, which gave you about an extra lap compared to the rest of the field. What was the idea when it came to fuel mileage? Were you at all trying to conserve, trying to stay in the draft, maybe let off the pedal just a little bit more than usual?
So the plan was originally, so like you said, we all came down to take the splash just to have that little bit of extra comfort, basically, because we were all still basically, we had to save a little bit more, but so my teammates Justin and Johan got better situated on what line they were starting in, and I had to start on the top. So I just said, you know, I might as well just go for it while I'm up here. So when I was like trying to push my way to the front a little bit, kind of used a little bit more than I would have liked. So when I finally got in the line, I saved as much as I could, and then I looked at the laps. I'm like, okay, 5 to go, and might as well try to start going for it. So I started making my move by then, and luckily when I crossed the line, it said I had about 0.04 left in the tank. I had just about enough. If we went one more lap, I was definitely not making it back around. So luckily it was only 130 laps for this race. And yeah, just want to thank everybody at Hyperforce, given the great setups, and a good call by Justin to come back down to pit road, and it was just a great night overall.
Yeah, the car just definitely fell just right. There were 2 incidents that could have been cautions, but the green flag stayed as they wrecked beneath the racing surface. So we did not get a green-white checkered. It worked out, and you got the win. Again, congratulations, Ed, and thanks for your time.
Yeah, appreciate it, boys, as always. Thank you.
So the race winner out of the booth. That close on fuel. I thought they were going to be a little bit more comfortable than that, but perhaps Justin Levine will be able to shed a little bit more light on that. He's with Corey.
Well, Justin, it's been a year and a half that I've been covering you. Andre's been here all year, and after a week off, we forgot how to say your last name. What is it again?
It's Levine.
All right, we went back and forth on it about 10 times.
I was right.
But either way.
Just think Adam, the singer.
Yeah. But either way, it was a good run for you. You led a lot of laps. You were up there the whole time, but we saw a lot of guys who aren't usually up there battling. We saw David Duke pulling moves out of nowhere, trying to make some passes, and then fuel strategy obviously came into it. We were very surprised that Ed said he ran out, even though you guys topped off there. Were you that tight as well on the fuel load there, and did that affect your moves at the very end?
Yeah, we were pretty damn close. We were saving most of that run there, and it was go time. You just got to risk it, and Ed had just enough, and so did we. And poor Devin it was 3 against 1 there. He did a hell of a job to pull home fourth.
Yeah, he went on a line, and we obviously knew nothing was going to happen there, man. But I'll tell you, from the booth, this race seemed a lot like the real-life Cup race prior to the rain last night. You guys were going at it a couple phases here and there of, single file, but for the most part, guys were making moves, guys were going crazy, getting sideways, making contact, but for the most part, not wrecking. How intense was it in the driver's seat tonight?
It's my favorite. It's level 10 when everybody is on it. It's level 10 every lap. You have to make sure that you are clear every single time. It's chess at 200 miles an hour. It's so much fun.
Yeah, that's what it was, and makes me kind of want to dust the wheel off and get back in it. But let's talk about next week, man. Another wild card race. We head to a track that has never seen a Cup race, but that's should or should not be. We head to IRP. What's the logic of taking a next-gen car there? How do you feel, and how do you think that race is going to fare?
Oh boy, I don't think I've ever raced there on the sim, but definitely gonna need some practice laps. I love having these wild card races because you just never know who's gonna come out. Well, but gonna definitely get some laps in to try to be competitive.
Well, just to note, you got another one after that, Motegi. So we got 2 off-kilter races in a row, so you have to get your practice in, man. But solid, solid run here tonight, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, and then we'll talk to the other brethren there. A 1, 2, 3 Hyperforce finish here today. Johan Seminario is with Andre.
Mr. Seminario, you got a copy? Got a copy, Johan?
Yes, sir.
Well, Johan, successful run for you. We didn't even know you were in the race. I joined in about 6 laps late with Corey, and he said, Johan's not here tonight. And then all of a sudden you were in 3rd. So kind of blindsided us and got a good run out of it. Your Hyperforce team overall, you, Justin, and Edward, all did a phenomenal job. How do you guys keep bringing all this momentum to the plate tracks?
Well, first, I barely made it. I mean, I pretty much missed qualifying. I got a lap in. I mean, it was a slow lap because I didn't get any speed cut into it. So, I mean, I just barely made it. But yeah, us Hyperforce guys just, communicated very well. I was actually gone the whole week. So, I mean, it was actually major props to the team themselves because these guys ran the laps and everything. And I was just able to just jump in and load the setup and be fast with them. great call by Justin for us to stay out and just top out, or to come in and top off and then stay out for the end of the run. I absolutely sent it at the end with him. I was able to just get there just in time to get that 1, 2, 3 for us. So overall, it was a great race.
Now, your teammate Justin just mentioned that he's never raced at IRP on the sim. I'm a little surprised he hasn't raced at the best track in that state. But how do you feel about IRP?
I mean, I'm not too concerned. I'm hoping to get some laps in this week. I haven't actually been on the sim for like the past 2.5 weeks much due to work and all that stuff. So I'm going to do my best to run laps with the team and see where I can get. But as long as I can get at least a day or two of practice, I think I'll feel pretty comfortable. It was the same thing at Red Bull, so...
All right. Well, hopefully you carry that momentum forward. And again, congratulations on a good run.
For sure. Thank you. Just shout out to all the guys at Hyperforce, Bruzy, DWS, everybody, and all my close friends that come out and support me all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for your time, Johan.
Thank you.
So that is third place out of the booth. I'm still, I think I'm borderline offended that Levine has never raced at IRP. Phenomenal track.
It is. The iRacing racing style of that is going to be a difficult show. We'll see what the patch does. Maybe there's a little change in there, but definitely is going to be a tight confines race, a long race next week. 250 laps as on the docket at IRP. So you'll want to stay tuned for that next week. Busy week here on PTRTV. We'll be covering a one-off race in the Gen 4 cars on Wednesday, Coast to Coast Racing League. We'll be back Friday night with 100% D2 at Loudon, and then you'll hear me on 100% Cup Series TV on Saturday night for the 300 lapper there. So a busy week for me and the channel, so make sure you stay tuned, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But that's Corey and Andre signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.